Dr. Stone has been full of many small surprises. From the show taking the two main characters out of the series after the first arc, to the surprisingly realistic way Senku is portrayed as a genius character who actually makes mistakes. So today, to mix things up a bit, I want to talk about something extremely obvious. That being that Senku really can't lose to Tsukasa in the long run. I know, it seems obvious that Senku won't lose, considering he's the protagonist of the series and Tsukasa is the antagonist. However, I'm going to be talking about this from a more literal standpoint. In other words, less of the forces of plot affecting it, and more of what would actually happen if these two tribes continued to clash, and the horrifying mistake that Tsukasa keeps making that may very well destroy his entire tribe. First off, let's establish some basic differences. Senku's Kingdom of Science has an inherent advantage, that being science. Senku is quickly able to concoct crazy weapons and creative strategies to defend his village. He also has no fear of using bluffs against Tsukasa and his army, as you see him fire the fake guns. But that's not all. Senku has something that's crazy powerful that we get to see him use in one of the most recent episodes. Antibiotics. I cannot stress just how stupidly important antibiotics are in this fight. As we see, when Kinro gets heavily injured in his fight, it ends up not being a super big deal. Wounds like that are fatal in the stone world, but with antibiotics, infections are something you can easily avoid. So Kinro, more or less, can just walk it off. Hence the first technique to defeat Tsukasa. You do not need to kill him. In this stone world, a minor injury can easily take down someone as massive as Tsukasa, or even the rest of his army. Therefore, the best strategy to take down Tsukasa's army is quite simple. Just bait and switch them. Get into some small fights that are easy to retreat from, try to injure some of the warriors without getting yourselves killed, and then run like high hell. Slowly but steadily, the infections will flow through their ranks, and Tsukasa's army won't be looking too hot anymore. If you really wanted to go the extra mile, I'd take some of those katanas and try to get some rust on them for some extra effectiveness. That might be a bit dark, but Either way, we've been talking about Senku's side for a bit too long, so let's take a look at Tsukasa's army. So what are some of the advantages that Tsukasa has? Well, first off, raw strength. If Tsukasa can force some kind of fair fight against Senku, there is no way he'd lose. Secondly is that he runs a clear-cut autocracy. In other words, everything he says is final and no one ever questions it. Tsukasa is smart, charismatic, and the strongest primate, which means that no one will ever want to question his orders in the first place. Therefore, the people he has rallied in his army are more than willing to die for him. And finally, Tsukasa's ace up his sleeve, the ability to revive other humans. Currently, Tsukasa is the only one who has both the recipe and the ingredients to revive people from their stone forms, which is a huge advantage because he's able to bring back plenty of people to start working under him so he can focus on his goals of creating his own little utopia. However, as I alluded to at the beginning of the video, Tsukasa is actually making a huge mistake. He's overlooking something that could easily wipe out his entire army and himself. In essence, reviving people from the past is extremely dangerous. The reason why is simple: disease. All it takes is for Tsukasa to revive someone with a somewhat contagious disease, and he could wipe out his entire army. Like I've been stressing, Tsukasa doesn't have the same medical technology that Senku has. So each time Tsukasa revives someone, he's rolling the dice. So what's the true best way to defeat Tsukasa, you ask? Well, it's simple. Leave him on his own and he'll do it himself in no time. I think this is the primary reason why Senku isn't all that interested in making his own revival fluid? Revival fluid? Wow, now that I actually say it, it kind of sounds nasty. But why he isn't all that interested in finding the remaining ingredients and start bringing people back to life himself. It's super dangerous to do before you can get a consistent source of antibiotics set up. So there you go, Senku. That's your best way to beat Tsukasa without having to get your hands dirty. Just run away for like a year or two and boom, it'll be like they were never there. I mean, I guess you really can't do that considering Taiju and Yuzihara would die too. So I guess Senku will just have to do it his own way. Thank you guys so much for watching. I was just thinking about this after Kinro was injured and realized just how bad of a situation Tsukasa's army was in. Either way, a huge thing to my patrons, you guys are my heroes. Speaking of which, if you're interested in seeing how I edit, joining our exclusive Discord, or simply supporting the channel, feel free to join me on Patreon. Make sure you guys share, like, comment, and subscribe. This is Manime Matt. Make sure you guys say man and go watch that goddamned anime.